little bit about 2011, I think, from the perspective of RDs, the COO, the field. Like me, you got to move this thing out a bit. And so, I thought about how to best do that. And what I really came up with was perhaps just 5 minutes or so on some of the goals that I have and the RDs have, and indeed many of our country reps have. And that probably will give you a flavor of some of the things that I think we hope to accomplish in 2011. And many of the goals are not just for the CRs, they're not just for the RDs, they're not just for me or other members of the executive team. They're really goals that we all contribute to. So, listen to these goals, and I think you'll come to the conclusion that for many of them, you guys are fundamental. They're goals which are important to all of us as PSI staff. No surprise to you that the number one goal for us is hitting our Galley target. We have had a strategic plan now. We're working on our 5th year, and this is the ultimate outcome measure. And so it's very important that we try and nail our Galley target. R&M seems to want to change the coefficients about every 2 weeks, so it's hard to keep up with what the numbers are. But according to my notes, we really are looking now for about 20,253,078, and that's what we need to achieve by the end of 2011. And the regions all have rolled up a number which is, of course, in excess of that. And Galley target. We only did about 16 million last year, so it's going to be a big jump, 30% plus, to hit the target, either the strategic plan target or slightly more optimistic, new internal target. As I said, I think everyone here plays a big role in helping us meet this target, because no matter what your job, we're all here to play some function, some role in supporting the field in some way. And if everyone does their job, theoretically, we're going to hit that target and indeed surpass it. Carl mentioned that we will have a couple of countries that perhaps will contribute a bit more than others. West Africa seems to play a role every year in that regard. And indeed, to make this ambitious target, we're going to have to distribute a lot of nets in Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, and DRC. So the Galley target is really important. And hopefully we will meet or exceed that target. The second target that is all-consuming to many of us, to all of us, is doing our best to hit a revenue target. So, of course, revenues are what pays all of our salaries. They fund our programs, and it's really important that this organization meet or exceed its target. Otherwise, the budget will get screwed up. We're down a bit this year from last year. We're down 3%. Our projected revenues in 2011 are $597 million, and we hope to be able to meet or exceed that. I believe it was around 604 for last year. The RDs and the CRs and all of us here, of course, play a big role in meeting revenue targets, but it's important to fund the organization. It's important to fund the program. So revenue targets are a big part of what we do. We, I think, are going to be moving in our business model more and more in the future to worrying more about markets and categories and worrying less about brands or market share. On the programmatic side, what is considered to be the total market approach is something that is increasingly a priority for the organization. We are still working on exactly what that means, and we're working on measures and ways in which we can understand how we are influencing total markets. But suffice to say that we are moving in that direction. And we're looking more at how we can have more equitable markets, how we can be more sustainable, and how we can also increase impact at the same time. So in these goals, all the RDs, and indeed I believe all the CRs, will be looking at ways in which they have addressed equity, sustainability, and impact, at least with condoms and or OCs. And we're going to be instituting a set of measures and indicators so that we can better track our ability to positively influence total markets instead of just looking at brands and brand share.
probably an international staff member. But we understand that we are a group of 6,000 or 7,000 or 8,000 people, and there are many national staff who comprise PSI. We have talked about, and indeed we've made some progress over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years at doing a better job at introducing opportunities and identifying high flyers and stars among people in the field, and in particular among our national staff. So one of the things that we're going to be focusing on in 2011 is continuing that momentum.